Ashlynne. It's nice to meet you all. I am here to talk about cosplay and also answer questions and stuff. So, I will get started. I started cosplaying, I'm Ashlynne Dae, my full name, here you go. I started cosplaying probably about 6 years ago. My first con was in 2013 at WonderCon, so that was my first time cosplaying at a convention. And I made a Loki cosplay because I was really jazzed about Avengers that had just recently come out, or was coming out, I can't remember exactly. And I had just seen Thor, you know, because that had just come out, and I was like, Loki is the coolest, let's make a Loki outfit. And I made a cosplay because I decided an outfit wasn't enough extra for me. So I made a full cosplay. I'd never done it before, and I didn't know what cosplay was at the time. And I got to the con, and everyone was like, we love your Loki cosplay. And I was like, what is cosplay? And I had to look it up on Google. And then I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm gonna keep doing this. Let's just do this forever. So that's pretty much how I got started cosplaying. But I had been sewing for about 6 years prior to that. So I started sewing, not 6 years, almost 10 years prior to that. So I was, yeah, almost 10 years. I was really into historical fashion, you know, like Victorian and Rococo and all that jazz. So I started sewing when I was like 12 on a 1940s vintage Singer sewing machine, the black ones with all the gilding and really beautiful. You look amazing, by the way. I'm about this. This is great. What we do in the shadows, you guys? I can't. I'm just so good. So yeah, I learned how to sew on a 1940s vintage Singer, which was really cool. And I was really about it because I was really into historical fashion. My first thing I ever made was a pair of bloomers. They were not cute. And like, they were cute, but they were not cute. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, you have bloomers, but like, you also have bloomers. So, and then I just kind of snowballed from there. I made a few historical dresses that I don't wear and have no photos of, but they are really cool and they're in my closet. But yeah, so that's pretty much my background. Yeah, I don't know. I cosplay a lot. I do it a lot, all the time. I have more than 150 costumes just lying around, and that's not including the ones that I've sold. Not all of them I made. The majority of them, I'd probably say about 75–80% of them I made, but you know, you always need those like casual cosplays where you can just like throw on, you know, like at the quiet day of the con, like the half day, so you're not like, I have to be all pink tomorrow, I don't want to stress myself out. So, like, that was my Kim Possible. It's my favorite easy cosplay, because it's so nice and easy. But yeah, so I have a ton of cosplays, and I don't tend to sell them because they are my babies, and I put so much effort into them that letting them go is like really emotional to me. So there's some that I've sold, but I always remember them. They're in my heart forever. But yeah, so, yeah, do you guys have any questions? Yeah.
I think I saw some of you do commissions. How, in terms of the number of commissions compared to your own costumes, what's like the ratio?
I very rarely take commissions, and I only take commissions if my season is going to be very quiet, but I do take them from time to time. I would probably say it's like a 1:10 ratio of commissions versus my own stuff. It's just a lot easier for me to do commissions for like friends, which is something I do more frequently than just like random commissions. But you know, if somebody is like, I really need this and I really want it from you, then I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But it takes a lot to convince me, just because I take also so long to do it because my schedule is, you know, crazy. So I'm like, it might take 6 weeks. Is that okay for you? And they're like, yeah, okay. And so I'm like, all right, let's do it. So, but I don't like to make people disappointed, you know? So I'm like, I don't have the fastest turnaround, I'm really sorry, but I tried, so. Yeah, commissions are a whole new thing. That's a whole, not new thing, but it's a whole different thing to me. It's a whole beast, because you gotta, you know, work out your pricing, and you gotta make sure you are paid for your time appropriately, but you're also not like, I'm gonna charge $1 billion for this like circle skirt, you know? So you gotta weigh it out, but yeah, commissions. Anyone else? Questions? Yes?
What's been your most time-consuming cosplay to make?
That is a good question. I don't even know if I could think of just one. I would probably say to date the wizard from Diablo that I did for BlizzCon last year is probably the most time-consuming, but also the most time-restrictive because I had to make it in a month. And so I worked pretty much that entire month non-stop, and it was crazy. And I was still working on it the night before because I'm really bad at procrastinating. I made this last night. I finished it last night. I went to the fabric district before I left on my flight from LA, and I picked up fabric and I brought it here and I landed. And in the hotel room, I cut this out on Wednesday evening, and I just sewed the whole 2 days that I was here. So, I'm not good at planning ahead. So yeah.
It looks so good.
Oh, thank you. It's really fast. Like, that's it. I've been doing it for too long. That's why. And I'm not good at armor. I'm not very good at armor. I'm just good at sewing things, because I've just been doing it for too long. Way too long. Any more questions, anybody? Yes?
Yeah, what's the most favorite con you've ever been to? Like, what's the one that just sticks in your mind?
Oh, I mean, other than Armageddon, pandering. I actually really love New Zealand cons because everyone here is super chill and super nice. And American cons are not as nice sometimes, and also a lot more touchy sometimes. So, you know, y'all are real nice, and you don't touch people inappropriately, which is really nice, and that speaks highly of your character. Well, I mean, nobody has been untoward to me, so. Oh, you later, though. Yeah. I love me some vampires, you know, some Wellington vampires.
This is like coming up.
Oh no. I'm sorry, I'm making you laugh so much. Your mustache is coming. But it's a beautiful mustache. I have spirit gum at my booth, just so you know.
And I put it on like 5 minutes ago. It's
Oh no.
sticky.
It's the worst. So yeah, my favorite convention is probably the first one I went to. I usually go every year, WonderCon, which is in Anaheim. And it's only my favorite, I think, because it was the first time I went to a con, so it's like really nostalgic, you know, and it's like, oh, my heart parts, they feel so lovely and wonderful when I go. But it's like also, it feels like a big little con. Like it's got a lot of people and a lot of really cool cosplays, but there's not like, there used to be a bunch of like bigger panels before Disney like bought everything and just decided they're doing their own thing at D23, so they don't really do a lot of like huge panels. So the floor just kind of, and like the booths aren't huge, they're like more mom and pop, which is nice because it just feels like a really big scale, tiny little close-knit con, and I like it a lot. So that's my favorite, I think, probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, anybody else? Any other questions? Anything, feel free to ask, please. Yes.
So for instance, we're in New Zealand. Getting to America is like 2K plus sometimes. How do you just save up the money to go around and, you know, like coming here, for instance, would be the same, right?
Yeah, also
Yes.
pay for like
Luckily,
stuff.
I have a very nice partner who helps me with my flights sometimes. No, not quite. I do pay for them, but not. I got a lot of air points, but he does. If I'm like, I need to come over and I only have half, he'll like, you know, give me the rest or whatever. So I'm very lucky in that respect. It's very expensive. I got a lot of air points because I fly back and forth so much. Yeah, it's a whole big thing, but it's also very difficult having to spend half my time, because I don't know if everyone here knows this, but I spend half my time more than half my time in America, and then I come back for like a couple of months, and then I go back to do a con or whatever, and then I come back, and I go back, and then I come back, and I go back. So it's really hard to have your life in one place, and then also in another place that is very far away from each other. So But it's really fun though, and I get to meet all of the cool Kiwis and get to do all of the fun stuff. And there's like a beautiful, gorgeous countryside to do pictures in, and you know, that's a really cool perk. Yes.
So, is this a fair assessment to say you are a professional cosplayer?
I mean, yes. I don't love the term professional cosplayer. I prefer professional dresser-upper of fun times and good things. Woohoo! But yes, so I made it my living. So I guess in that respect you could define it as such, but... Oh, no, not at all, no. No, you are totally fine, don't feel bad. It's because it comes with like a weird stigma, you know? Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't love the term. Like, I don't think it should, but it does for whatever reason. But I did make it my living. It's what I do to pay my bills and put food on the table. So, yeah, I don't think I would have it any other way, because I did have an office job, full-time office job for 3 years before I made the switch, because I was putting myself through university. And I didn't like that at all. It was very, oh, thank you. It was very taxing on me, because I'm like a weird creative person in my brain. And just sitting in front of the computer every day, doing the same exact thing every single day of my life, just was hard. So I was like, you know what? I'm only gonna live once, so I'm just gonna not do that and see how it goes. And I did that, and we're seeing how it goes. And I mean, you guys are all here and really nice, so I think it's going okay. So follow your dreams, guys. Don't be afraid. I believe in you. You can do it. Any other questions, anybody? Feel free to ask me. Yes.
How long do your photo shoots take?
It really depends on the photographer. I've had some photographers who just really fast pound them out. You know, they're like the kind who you see in like the crazy fashion shoots. They're like, and you just like gotta keep going for forever in your different poses. Those are really fun because you get the weird like pictures, like when you get your raws back, you get to see all the beautiful derps that you made. Those are really fun. But then I also have worked with photographers who have who are just like, I have this one concept, we're gonna do this one specific pose, we're gonna get this pose right, and we're gonna blow the air on your hair specifically and like flutter your cape just so, and if we don't get it the first time, we're gonna try 500 more times. And those ones always turn out really cool too. So it just really depends. I think the longest photo shoot I've ever done is probably like, yeah, 2 or 3 hours. Typically when I do photo shoots, I try to like maximize both of our time. So I'll be like, I have these outfits that I can bring that all kind of have similar makeup or similar hair. So I'll do, you know, like we'll just do back to back. But I have done like one of those crazy marathon shoots for like 7 hours. Big breaks, and there was like a couple other girls there who were also shooting, but you know, it did go on for quite some time. But typically it's not terribly long. There's only one person. Location shoots are a whole new thing though. It's like a, not new, but whole other thing. Because you have to fight the elements. You know, the wind, the rain could start, the sun might not be cooperating, it might go down, you might be late, it's a whole thing. So studio shoots are usually a safer bet, but location shoots are just so pretty. They're so lovely. Alright. Anybody else? Yes. Yes.
How do you go about posing? Do you like look in the mirror and do it?
Yes.
Or do you like
Yes.
Google? Because I suck.
No, you don't suck. You're wonderful. Don't put yourself down. You are wonderful. Really, the biggest tip I have for people who are just starting to cosplay and starting to like figure out how to pose in that specific cosplay, put on the cosplay and just be a weirdo at yourself in the mirror. That's all. That's like my biggest tip. Just like, does this look okay? No, that doesn't look okay. Well, does this look okay? That looks pretty okay. Let's keep doing that. So, and you know, and like also working with photographers who've worked with models before, they can really help coach you like in the moment when you're like, okay, does this look okay? And they're like, no, you gotta turn your head slightly and like lift your chin and like lower this and blah, blah, blah. Also, YouTube is very helpful if you want to like get into the modeling aspect of cosplay. Just watch models' videos of them describing how to pose, and that's really helpful. Yeah, it's a really cool way to learn, and you also get to do it while they're doing it, and you know, learn in your body, muscle memory. You know. Yeah.
Do you prefer group cosplays or solo, and why?
So they both have their advantages. I don't know if I prefer one over the other. I do like both of them, but they have their advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, obviously, of being in a group is you get to hang out with cool people who are dressed similarly to you all day and have like constant companionship throughout the con, which sometimes might not happen if you are going solo and everyone else is dressed differently. It can be really hard to try to corral your friends and be like, let's go over here and hang out. I'm like, but we gotta do this photo shoot, or we gotta go see this panel. You know, so it's hard when you're not in a group to meet up with your friends. But that being said, being in a group does pose its own challenges because, you know, if you have like this big, huge group that you're really excited for and like you planned it and everyone's supposed to show up and then like no one does, you know? Or like everyone bails at the last second because they decided something better came along, or, you know, it can happen. And so I'm lucky that I have a really cool group of friends who are pretty reliable on that front. Nobody tends to bail, like, you know, last second. But it can be hard also if you're like trying to put a group of cosplayers together who aren't necessarily all friends. That can be difficult because, you know, people might not get along in the end, or they might not, you know, like each other and you didn't know, or whatever. You know, drama. But so, I like both of them. Group cosplays at cons are fun because you can hang out with friends. That's basically why I like them. But sometimes it's also liberating, just be like, I don't need anybody, nah, and just float around on your own. And then you get lonely at the end of the day, I think. You're like, I never saw anybody. So, yeah.
You're constantly on the go from the sounds of it. Like when you are in music or somewhere else, I guess with the trade of Eden and stuff, like do you go outside the cities that you need to venture into? Like do you do a bit of sightseeing, visiting places like that? Like downtime for yourself?
I try. So when I got here on Wednesday, we did kind of wander around for a hot second, but then we needed to eat, and then I had to go back to work on this dress that I'm currently wearing. But Thursday morning, luckily, I woke up and I went to go find coffee, and I never found the coffee, even though there's a billion coffee places. I was just like, it's intimidating coffee, it's so fancy, I don't know how to do it.
We have
So,
space coffee though.
I know, you guys do. Every time I go to a coffee store, I also got a coffee like this big. It was bigger than my face, it was crazy. Anyway, so I was lucky that I got to kind of wander around in Wellington, and then I got to take a Weta tour, which is really cool. My friend Sanit over there. So like I got to do that, but it's hard to try to schedule that in. You know, when you're like if I hadn't had to make this, if I had planned ahead, you know, like a normal person, then I would have had more time to kind of sightsee. But yeah, I do try. I try to hang out and like go see stuff. And like now, I'm good now. I don't have anything to fix or make or anything. So tomorrow, I can do whatever I want tonight. The after party, what, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I do try. It's hard, but I try.
And do you have a favorite cosplay out of the ones you've already done? And do you have a dream cosplay that you really want?
Yes, okay, so my dream cosplay, I'm going to start with that because it's my favorite thing to talk about ever in the whole world. I really want to do Smeagol. I know, I just want it so bad. I just think he's the best. He's my favorite. His little buggy eyes, and no, like wisps of hair, just beautiful wisps. Oh, I love him. I think he's the best. But I would like seriously drop some serious cash on getting a makeup artist to just transform me into this ugly little golem creature. So that's my dream cosplay. On like a serious dream cosplay, it probably would be like Mystique from the X-Men, because just naked and blue would be fun. I feel like that would be a really cool time.
There's
But
a really cool mistake that's like half.
oh yes, I've seen her on the internet. She's like that half transformation with the soldier uniform on. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't think I have, like, how did she, can't even figure out how she got it to be
I think she did it with
that.
like sequins, so she sewed like half of it and then the sequins got
That makes sense. See, there's some smart people out here who are really creative, and I'm just always in awe of what everyone can come up with. It's crazy. But yeah, out of all of the cosplays that I have done, I think Jessica Rabbit is probably my favorite. It's the hardest one to wear, but it's my favorite one. So tight, so tight. And very hard to walk in, and no depth perception, because the eye is just one eye because of the hair, and I just can't see anything, so I'm just like half blind, I can't really walk, and I'm like, I'm dying, I can't breathe, but it's fine. So yeah, probably my favorite. You pick me. So obviously the big three probably would be your best place to start if you were trying to start building a following. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Instagram and Facebook have kind of become useless now because the algorithms are but it's still something that you should try to work on. Twitter is really good if you do a lot of gaming cosplays, a lot of anime cosplays. There's a lot of gamers on Twitter and a lot of anime fans on Twitter, so that's a really good market for them. I would also, if you're trying to build a following, start hitting up like cosplay share pages. They have them on Facebook, they have them on Instagram, they have them on Twitter, and just be like, hey, can you feature me? Like, here's a photo that I'd love to boost or whatever, and they can help build traffic to like cosplayers who haven't really gotten like a good push yet, and that's really great because they direct all of the traffic and you can have Instagram stories, you can do stories like share for share on their stories, which is really cool, so you don't have to have like somebody else's post up on your wall forever, but like you can also give back to the community and like do a nice cool share for share, so that's fun. Also networking, just meeting people at conventions is also really helpful, even though it's not on the internet, it's just helpful because maybe you might meet somebody who's like, hey, like I'm doing this thing, do you want to do it with me? That'd be really cool, and then like that thing could be really successful and like, boost your following, that's what, you're into? Cool. So, yeah. Anyone else? Question? Yes.
If you weren't doing this, you mentioned that your office job was really taxing and you enjoy it and things like there must be like things that you would want to do beyond this?
Yes, so if I wasn't doing this and like after I stop cosplaying, which probably won't be for a really long time, but after I stop like making it my main source of income, I probably will just make cosplays or costumes for people. I'd love to get into like theater costuming or movie costuming. Like that would be like the ultimate goal, would be really cool. But for now, I'm just like, I'll do this because it's super fun and I get to hang out with all the really cool people. So, but yeah, movies, costumes, even just fully commission-based my life, probably. Words. Yeah. Anybody? Any questions? Wait. What? I'm gonna let you guys fight it out. Duke it out.
What's your favorite place to buy wigs?
I have a couple. So this one is from Wiggis Fashion. They're in China. They're the best. They do really great lace fronts, and their hair is like really soft, and they don't tangle as bad as some other wig companies that I'm about to mention, which I also love, but they tangle a lot. Arta wigs in the US is also really good. They have really great color range. I don't love their lace fronts as much because they're like harder edges half the time, but they do have like all these amazing colors and like a really extensive style catalog. So like if you're doing really crazy anime styles, they're like the best. And they ship here, which is really great because not a lot of places do. So yeah, I know, I learned that the hard way. I was like, I gotta make this cosplay. Oh, how do I get this thing here? Not through here. So Arta's pretty good. Wiggis Fashion is great. I also get a lot of my wigs on Amazon, which is surprising. I don't think you guys have quite the level of Amazoning that I'm used to in the States, but they have some pretty decent wigs there too if you can find them. So yeah, wigs.
What's your favorite fictional character?
My favorite fictional character is probably Jessica Rabbit. I always go back to her. I love her so much. She's just like so sultry, but also so loyal and so lovely. And you know, she's got a great body. So yeah, who doesn't like that? She's drawn that way. It's okay. Anybody? Questions? Anyone? Yeah.
So you went to the weather stuff, like, it just got me thinking, like, you know when you said you're gonna make costumes later, right? Would you like to make costumes for movies and that kind of stuff?
I would love to make costumes for movies. It would be a total dream. You know, I think I need 10 more years of experience to feel comfortable with it. Because, you know, there are really talented people who work on movies and who make costumes for those movies, and it's just like when you go, like I went in there and I was like, this is like insane caliber craftsmanship, man. I'm like not in my dizziest daydreams right now, could I figure that out? But you know, that's what's great about cosplay, is that it's literally always teaching you something new. And that's why I love it, because I like to learn new stuff and I like to do new things and just keep growing that knowledge base and keep doing what you love. So yeah, someday maybe.
What hobbies do you have?
I don't really have any hobbies, sadly. Cosplay takes up so much of my life that I don't have a ton of free time. I do game a bit here and there. I play a lot of WoW. I took a 10-year break and I went back to it, and it was a mistake. It was a great mistake, but it was a mistake. But other than that, yeah, I don't have a ton of time, sadly. I like to knit if I have a free moment on the couch. I also like to doodle quite a bit. Not a good artist, but I like to sketch stuff. Yeah, and pet my cat. I really love that. She is very pretty. She's fluffy. Her name is Moxie, like Mad Moxie from Borderlands. She's very fluffy. Anybody questions? Anyone? Yeah.
How do you come around choosing the character you want to make? Is it a character you like, or is it a character you've played before?
Yes, so typically I don't think I've ever cosplayed a character that I didn't love implicitly. Implicitly? Is that the word? That might be the word. I have absolutely no problem with people who just cosplay something because they think it looks really cool. Like, I think that's really cool, but I like to have an emotional connection to my characters that I do, even just a little, even if I was just like, oh yeah, I remember watching that when I was a kid, and I don't really remember it a ton, but it was really cool, I'm gonna do it. You know, like, I still have that connection, that like emotional connection to when I was younger, and like, I might not know everything about it, but it was really impactful to me in some way at some stage of my life. So that's how I usually choose a character. Or I'll look at a character and be like, oh my god, she's beautiful. How do I learn everything about her and then become her? And then I'll do that. So like Bayonetta, I haven't cosplayed her yet, but I didn't get to play the game when it came out because I didn't have time to game in university. And then I played it on my Xbox at home, and I was like, I love her. She's just the craziest. She's got the weirdest powers and has hair everywhere, and it's real cool, and I want to cosplay her. So I looked at a picture of her and I was like, she looks cool, let's play the game. Played the game and I was like, she is really, really cool, we're gonna do this. So that happens sometimes too, because you know, you just see really cool stuff sometimes and you're just like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Questions? Anyone? You?
So, with Warcraft, like, what is your favorite character in Warcraft?
Sylvanas. Hardcore. Banshee Queen, she's my favorite. I'm gonna cosplay her later this year. Send help, please. It's lots of foam and warba. I'm gonna be so sad and cry. I'm not good at armor yet, you guys. I'm very nervous about it. Question. You, yes.
So what is your creative process when it comes to doing these? I mean, are you standing in the line at Starbucks going, ooh, let's do Loki? Or are you watching a movie going, oh, that would be great?
Sometimes that does happen. I'll like, you know when you have those introspective moments in the shower where you're just like, life is interesting. And you're like, you know what I should do? I should do this. And then you're like, I'm doing it when I get out of the shower. And then the second you get out, you're like, oh, forget all those other things that I was supposed to do today. Today, I am working on making this a thing. And so that happens a lot. I'm a very like, a spontaneous creator. I get very bored if I have to work on a project for a very long time. I like to be like, I thought of it and then I'm gonna do it. Or I thought of it and I'm gonna put it on a back burner and then I'm gonna do it because I have this other thing I have to do. So that's, it's very like, ooh, lightning bolt for me. Yes.
In terms of like the characters you want to cosplay as such, do you write it down and do some sketches, sculptures, like what's your thought process and how do you go about doing? Do you have like mood boards like on Pinterest and such like that?
I am very unorganized. I've tried to get my life in order a little bit, so I have a bullet journal now to keep track of all my things. They're very nice. I love them so much. I know, they're hard to keep up. I'm not very good at keeping up, but I have a list of like all of the cosplays that I like want to get in. There's a cat waving in the back, guys. We gotta wave to the cat. Wave to the cat. Hello, cat. You are a very adorable cat. So I have a list of like all of the cosplays that I want to achieve, you know? And it's so gratifying when you get to mark it off and you're like, I did it, yeah. But in that bullet journal I have like project pages, I guess, of like, you know, materials that I need. And then I have, do you guys know what the HP Sprocket is? It's like a little sticker photo printer. It's kind of like a Polaroid printer, but it's like for stickers. So I usually will print out a reference picture on that guy and just slap it in that page and be like, visual, yeah. And then all of my other references are in my phone, very unorganizedly saved in my entire collection of albums of photos, mixed in with selfies and like photos for Instagram or whatever. So it's very, I don't do a good job of organizing my process, but that's pretty much it.
So would you say you have a lot of uncompleted like projects that's in the process of doing?
Yes, I have. I'm very bad about getting tired of doing something halfway through and then not finishing it for a while. Sometimes years, like Bayonetta. I haven't finished her yet. It's been like 2 years now. But I do try, because that's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I gotta pound it out and get it done, because if I don't do it, then I'm not gonna finish it. And that's like my biggest flaw when it comes to making cosplays, is if I don't finish it right away, I'm not gonna finish it at all. Or it'll take a miracle for me to do it. Or like somebody will be like, do you want to do this thing for this one thing? And I was like, oh, I already have that half constructed. I'll just finish it, you know, like a normal person. So, yeah. Anybody else? Questions? Yeah.
Would you consider cosplaying like as like a full male character instead of?
Yes, I would, 100%. I just haven't really found a male character that I really love, you know? I have absolutely, I think crossplay is really, really cool, and I don't have any problem with it. I have a lot of friends who are really good crossplayers, and I'm like, how do you do it? How do you become a boy? It's amazing. And I don't know if anyone here knows Tracy Hines. She's really beautiful. She cosplays Ariel, her most notable character that she cosplays. Really beautiful. But then when she does like Peter Pan, she's just like, oh my god, you look like a little boy. How did you do that? It's insane. It's insane. She's also like this big, so it works, but it's just crazy. So I think it's really, it blows my mind that people can do it. I feel like I can't, but I also haven't fully tried yet. I would love to do a Frodo. I would do a Frodo in a heartbeat. I just need giant hobbit feet. Sorry, questions? Anybody else who wants to ask me things? Yeah. We had a conversation about that earlier. I don't have a preference necessarily, but there are pros and cons to each one, so I like them for different reasons. It's nice to be able to just kind of go off on your own and do your own thing, but then you miss all of the friends who might have been in that group with you, so you don't get to like hang out with the people that you want to hang out with all day because they're all doing their own stuff. So it's like, you know, 50-50. I enjoy both of them. But yeah. Yeah.
On average, like how much time do you spend on your makeup and then
So long. So long. I'm not good at makeup. It took a very long time for me to learn. Lots of YouTube videos. Contour, man. I didn't know it was a thing until like 3 years after I had started cosplaying, and I was like, oh, I wonder why all my photos look like I look really pale in them, and I'm like, oh, it's because you don't have cheekbones that you didn't draw in your cheekbones. And blush, I didn't put blush on. It's like, oh, you just put eyes on, right? And then walk out the door. Or lips, I didn't do lips either. So, you know, it's a whole thing. It was a learning process. YouTube is great. I learned a lot of my makeup on YouTube. But so it probably takes about like 3 hours for me to get fully in a cosplay, depending on the cosplay. Like this was like 2, like full in, ready out the door, just because, you know, it's less makeup on Galadriel. She's very natural. But like my Android 21, the Majin version, that was 6.5 hours worth of makeup and body paint, and it was a lot of fun. It was very cold. Lots of body painting. So yeah, it really depends. But I think the longest is probably about 6.5 hours. That was probably the longest one. Question, who had one over here? Somebody? Did somebody? No? Okay. You. At a con, I don't know if at a con, about to get to a con, I can think of off the top of my head. You all know my friend Reagan, right? She was here in Auckland for the last Armageddon. We were supposed to do a Harley Quinn and Ivy cosplay at a convention last year, and I had made her bodysuit like on a mannequin, right, for Poison Ivy, and I glued all the leaves on, and we hadn't taken it off yet, and we hadn't put it on her body yet. We didn't do any of the things you're supposed to do because sometimes we're not good at life. And so we go to take it off, and we're like, how do we get it off? It was stretchy, now it doesn't stretch because of the glue. And so we tried to pull it off, it didn't work, and I was like, you know what, let's just cut it, and like I'll lace you into it. We'll like punch holes real quick, and I'll lace you into it. That didn't work because we cut it, and it just didn't go onto her body anymore. Yeah, the mannequin was smaller than she was, and it wasn't stretched to the right size. Because we, you know, those little tiny, like, crappy store mannequins that no one has the body of. Yeah, that's what we did it on, and that was a mistake. So we tried to put it on, and it just didn't go over at all. And she was like, we're gonna do it later. And I was like, we're gonna do it later. We're not gonna fight this. This is we're calling it. This is probably not ideal. So that was probably like the worst disaster that I can think of. Typically cons go pretty okay for me.
What did you end up doing that day?
I still wore a version of Harley. I didn't do classic Harley. I did bombshell Harley because I already had the makeup on. I was like, I haven't worn this yet. I'll just do that. She wore Samus that day, I think, from Metroid. So we figured it out. You know, you always gotta have a backup plan, just in case. Just in case. Yeah.
Question is there, and it wasn't. Yeah, oh yes, I got it. It's back. It's entering the house. Okay, so with cosplay, have you ever, or do you, try to practice the mannerisms and such into that character?
I do try. Like when I do Harley, I always do the very annoying accent because it drives my friends crazy and it makes me really happy. I do try. Obviously, you can't sustain it throughout the entire con, but you know, when you're walking around, like my favorite was when I was Maleficent at D23 last year, and a bunch of people were like, we were scared to come up to you because we thought you were mean, but you weren't mean. And I was like, I'm not mean, I just had a really snarky look on my face, I'm so sorry. And they were like, it's okay. And they found me at another con, and I was just like, I just thought that was so funny, because I guess I was just like, all day, just Maleficenting it up, and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drive you away, please come say hi to me. So that was probably my favorite story of that happening. But yeah, I do try. I feel like it just adds a little punch, and it's more fun for me because I get to pretend like I'm something else, and that's really cool. Because you know, sometimes it's just fun to step outside of who you are and just be something else for a little while. So that's cool. Anybody? Any questions? Yeah.
As a professional
called dress a rapper for fun. Is there like a particular routine or schedule you have on a daily basis? What's like a day in the life like for you?
Typically, if I'm not going to a con, I try to be as low-key and quiet as possible. Like if I'm not working on anything, I'm not putting on makeup. It's not gonna happen. I hate wearing makeup, guys. I don't know if you know this, but I hate it a lot. I just don't like the way it feels on my face. I don't like it. But, you know, I do like to just kind of chill. I like a glass of wine at the end of the day. That's always nice. I pet my cat a lot. I just spend a lot of time cuddling with her. I'll play some WoW, usually if I'm not doing anything. Like if I'm literally doing nothing, I'm probably just vegging out on a couch somewhere. But I mean, obviously, it's like, I gotta work on stuff. Sometimes I have to edit photos, but I also still just try to be as chill as possible. Because, you know, life is stressful. And I try not to stress myself out too much. I try. It doesn't always work, but I try. I try. So yeah, pretty chill most of the time. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah.
Is your partner a cosplayer?
No. He has put on a cosplay like one time on his body that I've known him. That was for a Doctor Who party that we were part of, which he was the best one there. He stole the show. I'm not saying this because he's my partner. They were so happy with his performance. He did the 12th Doctor, but he looks like 10, and I was like, why aren't you just 10? I don't know, it was really weird. But no, he doesn't love to cosplay. He prefers to just be in the background. So.
How did you meet?
We met at BlizzCon. Not this last BlizzCon, but the BlizzCon before that. So I liked his accent. I hadn't known him. I met him through a friend who is also not a Kiwi, but he's a Brit, I suppose. He's of the Commonwealth is what I was trying to say, and I couldn't think of the word. So he's not a Kiwi, but I met him through our British friend, and he was like, "Have you met Ash?" And I was like, "You have a funny voice. I like it. What is it?" And he was like, "Kiwi." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna pull you aside and I'm gonna try to copy it because I feel like I can copy accents. I cannot do it, but I thought I could." And I just sat there and I stared at him and I was like, "Say a word." And he was like, "Hello." And I was like, "Hello," but I didn't do it very well. So it was literally just an hour of me doing that. And I was like, "I like you." And he was like, "I like you too." And I was like, "Here's my number." And then the next day we had a date. And it was nice. And then it's been that for ever since. Yeah.
So put on your best Kiwi accent.
Oh no, it's so bad. Y'all are gonna be so offended.
It's okay.
Okay.
I've got one.
Okay. Bird. Where's the going bird? It's so bad. I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I almost ate this microphone. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm not good at it. I can do other accents, but I'm not good at Kiwi. I can't get it. You guys have like a really specific tone, and I just can't quite get it. So yeah, anybody else got any questions? Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing voice acting or just acting in general?
I would love to do voice acting. I do a lot of voices. I talk to my cat in a lot of weird voices. So, you know, I mention my cat a lot, I feel like. I sound like one of those crazy old cat ladies. I swear I'm not. I am a little bit. But yeah, no, I would love to. It would be super fun. I've never done it. So, you know, I feel like it's one of those things you think you'd be really good at until you do it, and you're like, oh, I need to work on that a lot more than I thought I would need to. But, you know, it would be super fun.
Well, the hallmark, like you just said, is talking cat, right? That's literally it. You're just doing voices at home.
It's true.
And all of a sudden, you go out to booth work,
and then a voice actor. I mean, I would love to. At some point, you know, if that becomes an opportunity for me to be able to go towards, I would love to do it. It just sounds like it'd be so much fun. And I don't have to act with my face. That, I can't do the face acting. I can't. But I can do weird stuff with my voice. That's what I can do. Exactly. I wouldn't have to wear makeup or anything. It'd be great. Any other questions? Yeah! Yes, Bayonetta, then 100%. she is like my nemesis, but also my one true love. I started the second costume, like the second game costume, and it's just very intense, and I never got around to finishing it. I have one leg down in the back. I don't know if you guys can recall, but she's got these little diamond cutouts all down the back side of her legs, and there's like mesh in there, so you have to like, you know, cut it out and then finish the edge and then sew mesh into it. And you don't have to sew mesh into it, but I did because I didn't want to have bare leg all the way down. I'm a little bit more modest than I feel like I seem. It doesn't seem like it, but I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stick some mesh in there and try to not deal with it. But you know, I did one leg and then I was like, I don't want to do this other leg, so I didn't do the other leg. She's almost done, I just need to do the leg. I mean, that's like 5 hours worth of work, but yeah. So yeah, that's probably the one thing that I've just never really come back to. Anybody else got any questions for me? No? No? No one? Oh, yeah.
How do you keep your interest focused on one project when you have so many going on at the same time?
It's very hard. So when I try to keep the end goal in mind, right? So and that's one of the reasons why it's so hard for me when I work on a cosplay that takes like longer than like a couple of weeks to keep that inspiration going. I just try to really focus on how cool it'll be when it's done and like how I'm gonna feel in it, you know? Like I finished it and I did it. Did. But it's really hard. That's like one of my biggest issues is just keeping that inspiration just like from just teetering off. So yeah, it's very hard. I struggle with it all the time. Again, Bayonetta, it's not done yet. Yeah. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Do you help other people to make new cosplay artists as well?
Yeah, so my friend Reagan, before I met her, she had only sewn like 3 or 4 things. And I was like, do you want me to teach you what I know? And she was like, please. So I've helped her make a couple of her cosplays. And then she's gotten so good. I'm so proud of her, you guys. You should see her new pirate cosplay that she just made. She did it all by herself. It was like a whole month, and she was like, I didn't even stop or anything, and I was like, I'm so proud of you because I couldn't have done that. But I made her Miss Marvel cosplay for her. I've helped her with a ton of things that we've done like together. So like, you know, she was like a pairing with me. And, you know, I'd be like, oh, let me help you do this or something. But she also will help me on stuff. Like, she'll be like, oh, can I go spray paint that for you while you're sewing that thing for me? So, like, when working with her, it's really nice because it's very collaborative. It's not like, you know, just one person is doing all of the work. So that's what. I've made costumes for a couple of guys that I've cosplayed with before. I typically, like, I had an ex who still has one of my cosplays that I made him. I'm very mad about it. But, you know, it's in the past, who cares? It's been years, so I'm never going to get it back. But I have made men's costumes. That it's a whole new thing, because I don't have a man's body, so it's harder for me to deal with it, but also men are more straight, so it's easier in that respect that, you know, you don't have to deal with curves and things, so. But, yeah. Men's cosplays, it's hard. Y'all are very detailed. Yeah.
How do you decide? Like, when you decide what cosplay you're going to make? Is it because she's being viewed with the expectation of making it look like got life things like to manage and like in that sense, is it because of that or because you're just very tired that it's so tedious and whatnot? And like, how do you combat this? Do you like watch a lot of movies or like stuff to like rejuvenate that inspiration? And also, like, do you have an Instagram?
I have an Instagram, yeah, but I don't save anything. You know how you can save stuff on Instagram? I don't save anything. I just screenshot, like I see it, like a drawing or something that comes up. I'm like, I screenshot. So.
Like, what I mean is like, do you personally have an Instagram that you post of like cosplays and whatnot?
Oh yes, yeah, I do. I have an Instagram page. It's just Ashlynne Dae on Instagram. But yeah, when I work on stuff, I try to watch like movies that go along with the character, like if it's a movie character or something. Or, you know, if I can't do that, I'll just listen to audiobooks or podcasts. But when I was making Elvira, I watched like a bunch of Elvira movies on YouTube, just like they were just on play, because I was like, I'm getting the character, she's a sassy little gothy lady, do it. So it was fun doing that, and that's always fun. And also, like, if you can have somebody just like play the video game that you're like doing in the background, like if you're making a cosplay of a video game, just like on Twitch or something, or even somebody there who's just like, oh, I'm gonna play this game. And that's really cool because you can just like listen to it and like get the atmospheric. So that's really inspirational, but it's also just really hard to, you know,
manage life.
It really is, man. Real life gets in the way, and that's boring, and nobody likes real life. Let's just all be in a fantasy world all the time. That's not good, but it's in there. When I make costumes, I listen to a lot of comedy, like stand-up, or I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't know if you guys are into true crime, but one of my favorite podcasts is My Favorite Murder, and I listen to these two crazy ladies just talk about, you know, horrible crimes. They're very funny. It doesn't seem like it'd be funny, but it sometimes is very funny. So that's entertaining. And I just like to have somebody talking. That's why I like stand-up so much, is because I just like to feel like there's somebody there with me. Because it can be very lonely, especially if you're not like working with a friend or something. If you're just like stuck up in a little tiny room where there's not very great light, like at my house in America, it's not the greatest light. And you're all alone, it can be very lonely. So it's just nice to feel like there's somebody there talking to you, you know, just like telling you silly jokes and making you laugh. Because I like to work around people, friends, you know, close people. Yeah.
I most sincerely apologize, but I'm trying to look for you on Instagram. How would I spell your name?
It's ASHLYNNEDAE. I know, it's a very annoying spelling. I'm very sorry. Anybody else have any questions? No worries. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Many times I have sliced my fingers open with working with an X-Acto blade or something. Or, you know, when you're like trimming a seam and you just snip your finger. I've not done any really terrible permanent bodily damage to myself, luckily. Knock on wood. Is this wood? I don't know, but hopefully. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I tend to be very afraid of power tools, so I don't work with them a lot, but I have a belt sander, so that works. But yes, I've also burned myself on soldering. Ooh, my favorite story wasn't really directly related to working on a specific cosplay, but I had working on some hand sewing in my bed, which is never a good idea, don't do it. And I had left a pin like in the bed on accident, or it fell out, and it stuck straight up in the middle of the night, and you know, they're really long quilting pins, and I laid over on it, and it got stuck in my thigh. It was awful. I couldn't get it out. It was very bad. I had to have a friend pull it out for me. So that's my favorite story about, you know, injuring yourself. Don't do handwork in your bed, you guys. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. Anybody else have? Yes.
So with the cons and everything coming down, how do you decide which one to go to? Is it location?
It's usually location for me, yeah. Typically location, but so like I'm based in Southern California when I'm not here. And there was like a good couple of years where there was like a con every weekend or every other weekend, but they were all pretty small. So, you know, if I was like, oh, I have this new thing that I want to make, like I'll just make this and go to this thing. So that's pretty much what it used to be. Now I'm just like, I'm tired a lot, so I don't go to really, really small cons unless I like have a bunch of friends going and I wanted to see them, because I don't see my friends very regularly anymore. But I do try to make it out to them because they are very fun, because they're very like tight-knit. But yeah, now too, and they don't tend to have a lot of those in California anymore, sadly. Most of them all kind of died down. 1 second, I'll get to you, 1 second. Yeah, Now I forgot what I was going to say. All right, yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, have you met the YouTubers Screen Time? Is that MG and, what's his name? Screen Time.
Screen Time.
The YouTubers.
No.
Yeah, because they do Comic-Cons as well.
I have not met them, no. I'm sorry. I'm really bad about meeting people. I'm very like shy and I'm very cut off, so I don't introduce myself to a lot of people a lot of the time. I'm very introverted, so it's weird being up here because I'm like very introverted, you know? But yeah, no, I'm not good at meeting people. I'm really bad at it. So that's why I like it when everyone comes, says hi to me, because then I get to meet everyone and I don't have to, you know, worry about freaking myself out. Yeah.
So when you're doing cosplay, and you have like your stand-up, whatever, in the background to people that party with it, what kind of music do you listen to? You listen to like game tracks or like pop? Like,
I'm a metalhead and a goth from the old days. I used to dye my hair black. So I know you wouldn't notice now, but so I listen to a lot of like kind of heavier music. You know, I really love a female-fronted metal band. I think they're a lot of fun. Like In This Moment is one of my favorites right now. But yes, like stuff that goes kind of in similar genres to that. I also like pastel goth if it was a music. Do you know what I mean? Like if you could make that a music, I like fun kind of poppy but dark like kind of music. I'm really about that. It's my jam. So if I'm listening to music, it's probably something like that. Yeah. No, typically I don't because it takes so much effort to get into them, you know? I think probably the most like similar to that is like I was on my way to or going from a photo shoot and I was like, I need to stop off and do this thing, and I'm still wearing it because I didn't bring a change of clothes. Sometimes I forget. So, you know, I'll walk into a grocery store when there's no con going on and I'm like fully in Phoenix and they're like, what is happening? I'm like, don't worry about it, it's okay. Just give me my crackers, we're gonna go. It's fine. So, anybody else? Yeah.
How do you deal with dodgy people?
Oh, it's very hard. I'm a baby. So this is why I always recommend the buddy system, because you can always have somebody there, especially if that person is like scrappy. Like I love a scrappy friend because they will fight for you. I am not scrappy. You mess with my friends, I will fight for them, but I will not fight for myself. I am a baby. So usually, like if somebody does something untoward to me, I will, if it's not that bad, I will just be like, hey, don't do that, and then, you know, try to ignore it. But if it's something really big, I will tell somebody and be like, hey, this person just did this. You gotta take care of it, because it is important. I advocate always saying something if somebody does something to you, because it's not right and they need to learn that that's not okay. And personal space is very important, especially at a con, and especially while you're in a costume. You know, you're very vulnerable maybe, and you know, it's not okay for people to just feel like they can do whatever they want just because you're in a cosplay. So, but I'm a baby, and I'll just be like, can you not? Thank you. And then I'll complain about it to somebody. Usually my partner, I'll be like, that person is mean, and he'll be like, I'll talk to them. So that's always nice, and especially if you can have somebody else just fight for you. It's really nice. So buddy system, you guys, do it. Everyone, even boys. Boys have to deal with it too. It's very unfortunate.
You seem quite talented.
Thank you.
Beyond that, what is your, like, what do you think is your special skill set that like you have that no one else has?
I wouldn't say that no one else has, but I think out of like my friend, because I have a very close friend group, and we all have our own specializations. I always say that probably bodysuits and fabric work is probably like my specialization. My friend Hendo is really, really amazing at armor work. Our friend Liz, she does really good sexy stuff. She's like really good, and she's also a really good actor. She's like really good at embodying things, also really good at wigs. And our friend Jess is really beautiful, and she does really great ice cream, and I just want her to be Emma Frost forever. She's really, really bad. And Reagan is really good at just being my best friend and being adorable, and also just dealing with all of my bull. So, so yeah.
Convinced your parents to do any kind of cosplay?
Absolutely not, in no way, shape, or form. I wish my dad looks like Randy from South Park, and I really want him to just let me be Stan with him sometime. He looks exactly like him, mustache and hair and everything. He wears blue shirts. I'm like, you know you're Randy, right? He's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, will you just be in a picture one time? He's like, no, I don't want to do it. So no, he's not into it. He doesn't even really know what I do, you know, like, so it's all right. He's my dad. He's fine. Anybody else? Any questions? Yeah.
If you could have a special power, what would it be?
Turning back time. Or stopping it completely so I could nap and then work on things and then never age and then wake back up and be like, hey, this is finished, it's done, and then have the rest of the time. That's what I would want to do. I don't think that was what you meant, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. That's what I would want.
Oh, it was, but I mean, like,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we got each other on the way.
Reviving.
Yeah, vibing. Anybody else? Any other questions? I can take one more question. If anybody, one more. No? You guys are good? Did we do it? We did it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to me drone on forever. You guys are so great. Thank you for coming out. I'll see you guys all later.